and getting a few more people joining in. Gosh, my shirt's all pulled scoogey around me, isn't it? That's funny. Okay, no worries. Today we're talking about, and I'll come back to this again, but we're talking about why longarmers ask for, sometimes anyways, so much extra backing fabric, larger than the quilt. And then, of course, it has to do with using rulers for custom ruler quilting. And so we'll talk just a little bit about the setup and some of the tools that are needed for ruler quilting. So again, just waiting for a few people to join in. I'm working still on the basket quilt. I'm more than halfway around with the border, so I am truly nearly finished this time. But this is the last day that the grandkids are in our house, so of course I'm spending it with them, baking, and we are having a birthday party later this afternoon for our one daughter, and so the grandkids and I are making a birthday cake and all those sorts of things. There we are. People are chiming in. Teresa, Janice, good. Hello. As always, I'm Susan. You're in my studio, Stitched by Susan. These daily episodes, Monday through Saturday, that I'm doing live every day for about a month, are just impromptu ones having to do with the types of things that I'm working on and just topics that I think would be of interest to perhaps more novice machine quilters, and maybe ideas or concepts or tips that you haven't thought of or heard about before. But this today might also be of interest to you, even if you're not a longarmer, but perhaps you hire a longarmer. And perhaps you've wondered sometimes, why do longarmers need so much extra fabric, so much extra backing, larger than the quilt? And why sometimes do they ask for 8 or more inches on each side? Like, why in the world would I waste that much fabric? So I'm going to show you why, so that you kind of understand that. And if you're the longarmer, you'll know why you should ask for that. And if you're the customer, you'll know why your longarmer is indeed asking for it. Cynthia tuning in, good. Nice to see so many of you here. Kirsten, faithful watcher from Germany. Hope I'm at a decent time of day for you today, Kirsten. Okay, so this has to do today with ruler work and why you would need a lot of extra backing fabric. But first off, we'll just look briefly at why you need extra at all. You're seeing my connecting system here of red snapper. So this is my backing fabric, right? And it's over my canvas leader, and this snapper is pinching it in place all the way along the extent of that leader. That takes about 1 inch or 1.5 inches of fabric. And then of course I need the freedom to move my machine around a little bit, right? So I need a little bit of excess there, and I need some at the other end too, because I can't see that other end it's rolled on. So fabric has a certain amount of give, so I always want a certain amount of extra and sort of margin of safety at the bottom. And then on each side of our quilt, we always need a few inches in order to put some type of clamping mechanism to hold tension on toward each side. Now, when we're doing custom quilting, as I am here, you can just faintly see my piano key lines that I've put in here. I need to use rulers for those. What immediately happens with rulers is you need even more space. But more than that, there's a couple of other things you need for a ruler, which I'm going to show you. I think you'll be able to see it here. I've tried to arrange things so that it's visible today. This is the nose of my long arm right here. Let me lift the handle up. It's going to squeak a little bit. Whew, that's a noise. Okay, now you can see the nose of my long arm here. It's about 3 inches by 5. What happens if I try to use a ruler on that is it's not a very stable resting place. So all long arm brands have some type of extender table, might be acrylic like mine is, might be metal, might be plastic, who knows, but they extend that nose, if you will, of the long arm to a larger working space. And I'm working in a tiny area here to get it on. Mine just snaps on, and now I've got essentially a table, right, that my ruler can rest on much more stably. So what this does is it limits a little bit the depth of room that you're able to sew within the throat of your long arm. So you kind of have to be aware of that. And then what happens when you are in fact stitching is you literally need more space around your quilt because you need room to deal with the ruler, to lay it in places. And when I put my side clamps on, and I'll go ahead and put this one on because I can show you, I don't have quite 8 inches on both sides of this quilt. I do have it on the other end, but I'm just a hair short on this end. And what happens when I move this little table over now is it actually bumps into my side clamp before I've quite gotten to the edge, right? So my workaround is my trusty yardstick comes out. I lift it up just a little bit, and now my ruler plate goes under it. So that was kind of an involved demonstration, but you're seeing the reason for this. You need to be able to move that ruler plate freely without bumping into things. If you bump into those side clamps, you're going to get jogs or corners in your quilting. You just are. So the easiest way by far is to just ask your quilt maker, or if it's you yourself, give yourself 8 inches of space on all sides. It gives you the freedom to move around at the top with whatever ruler you happen to be using, and it gives you that freedom to move your plate without bumping into things on any of the perimeters. Janice is saying, my dealer set my bar out far enough that the ruler base doesn't bump. I'm not sure which bar you mean, Janice, front or back. Those are kind of the least of your worries. It's the side with the ruler plate, and front and back, it's actually the ruler bumping into your mechanism. So in my case, it's the red snappers, which are thick. If you're using maybe pins, perhaps it's not as much of an issue because that's a bit flatter, right? So these are all a little bit variables in there, but that's why. If you're a quilter like me, you're asking your clients for 8 inches of excess. So you have room to work with those rulers and not be bumping into things. What you're forced to do otherwise, if you have to do a workaround, is hold the ruler at odd angles, right? Crossing over your arms, whatever the case may be, trying to make do. But it is so much easier and so much more mistake-free and joggle-free if you have that little bit of space to work with. So Janice is saying her dealer moved her front bar forward far enough. I mean, that may have to do with the size of your machine, Janice. With my 24-inch machine, it comes so far forward, there isn't enough clearance in front of it for that whole plate. Now, that doesn't keep me from quilting with it on, I do, but it does make me decide when I'm not doing ruler work, I lift that plate off because I have more throat space with it off. Question I get asked lots of times is, can you just leave the ruler plate on all the time? Absolutely you can. It doesn't interfere with movement of your quilting machine at all. It just might interfere with clearance, and that's a decision only you can make. Okay, any more questions or thoughts about that? Marie Suzanne, happy to catch you live, hooray. Janice Debbie Dvorak here in Chicagoland. Kirsten's at 10 p.m. Anne is tuning in from France. We've seen you a couple times this week, Anne. Lovely, not too many questions coming in. Well, do chime in if you have questions about this. Like, I'm not going into anything in depth today. I just thought, since this quilt is still up, it's an opportunity to glean one more learning tip from it, which is, why in the world do people need 8 inches of extra backing fabric when working on a custom quilt? The more complex ruler work you do, the more important this is. I'm doing pretty simple piano keys, so I could have gotten away with less clearance, right? It's not like I'm doing anything particularly fussy or finicky with the ruler. I'm just doing straight lines, so it's not that difficult. But if you were doing much more fiddly work or working around appliques, which are all different shapes or those sorts of things, it would matter. It makes the longarmer's life a lot easier to have those few inches of additional backing fabric space. So, okay, I will be coming live again each and every day this week. Once more, I am hopeful that our workshop will be open for registration tomorrow. That's the current plan. I'll keep you posted on that, and I'll let you know in the morning. This workshop is kind of like an open coaching session. That's the flavor I'm bringing to it this time. I've got some things that I want to share, and I want to share with a lot of you. I think that there's some encouragement to be had there. Maybe you know me by now. I love teaching, I love sharing, but also I love encouraging people where they are at and where I think they can go with their quilting, and just giving that empowerment of, you can do this and here's how you get from here to there. So that's a little clue as to what it's about. So that'll be coming down the pike very shortly. Okay, that's it for today. I'm gonna get back to the grandkids. We have one more coat of frosting to put on the birthday cake today. That's important. And then we're off to a birthday party with our kids. So it's going to be a great afternoon for us. Thanks so much for joining me here, and I will catch up with you again tomorrow.